What's the relationship between problem solvers and House leadership? Is it good? Are they happy you guys are around?
What
Or are
did
you
Nancy
sometimes
Pelosi used to call
thorn
it?
in the
Problem
side?
causers?
Problem causers, okay.
I think there's some people in leadership on both sides who don't love it when you talk to the other side and find a bipartisan deal because they may want to use the issue for political reasons and political gain. But the stuff that gets done and across the finish line inevitably happens because of groups like the Problem Solvers Caucus, of members who are more like us, sitting down in a room and saying, where's the deal? We sat down with a group of bipartisan senators last week, like we often do, and say, okay, on the Affordable Care Act, how does this deal get done? Where can we agree? And try to get to a 75% consensus. And when we do, we say, okay, let's all get together and back that. And that's, frankly, whether you're talking about the infrastructure bill, about the last gun safety bill that was done in a bipartisan way, or health care. The only way this stuff gets done, we did during the pandemic as well, the only way it gets done is if we actually talk to each other and a bipartisan group brings it across the finish line. We may not be the biggest tweeters and like everyone follows us screaming and yelling at each other. I know that gets more attention, but actually the governing part of getting stuff done, that's when the Problem Solvers Caucus and others step in.
I mean, look at somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who just left. What accomplishments did she have in 5 years? Nothing. There's not one single piece of legislation that you can point to and say.
What do you attribute that to?
It's the inability to work across party lines, the inability to build consensus. When you have such tight majorities and when most of the districts are not competitive in a general election and people are more focused on the base of their respective parties, it's hard to build that consensus. Part of the reason why, I've been legislatively successful, Josh has been, is because we try to build that consensus. And when the extremes are not going to vote for the final product, but the middle can carry the day, that's how you get big things done in Washington. And recognizing the way the Senate functions, where you need 60 votes on almost everything, you need bipartisan support in the Senate. So if you start from a place of bipartisan support in the House, it's a lot easier to get to the final agreement than if you're starting from a place of, I don't need the other side.
I think that the health care is just a great example of just that, right? As we're talking about, when we've sat down, we said, okay, we definitely got to get these costs down for people. We've got to lower their insurance premiums. We agree on that. Okay, so now then you take the next step of, so where are the areas we agree? Can you give on this or give on that? See, what happens is no one actually says, hey, Mike, would you be okay if we did this? Would that be a problem for you? And he says, no, I could live with that. And what's often shocking, and I found this over the years, is as a Democrat, I read the paper and I think, oh, he'll never support that. Actually, when you talk, you say, oh, yeah, I can live with that. And it's funny, that's how you actually govern. And
I think people just don't see that often enough. Indulge me for a moment in a poll.